Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taramina.
Welcome to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Taramina, blogger of the Dragon's Den, blogger inside the OAA, one of the hosts between Termina's and Ori Neighborhood Television. I'd like to welcome our friends watching on Oxford Community Television and also those watching on YouTube. Of course, we got some big stories to talk about today. Of course, a lot of football to be mentioned here. Of course, around the works, of course, out of league, of course, and what impact will that have with the OAA, considering what happened, considering two main stories outside the OAA. We'll talk about each of those stories and, of course, what has been going on surrounding the league. So without further ado, let's look at our main story. Of course, it occurred in a team that was out of the league. Of course, he used to be a member of the OAA, and it was the Clawson Trojans, and apparently they used the MHA transfer rule to their advantage by, of course, there were two players, two top-notch sophomores wanting to go over to Waterford Mott to play football and basketball. So Clawson basically they sent a request to the MHSAA about these two players transferring because of athletic reasons, and of course, Waterford Mott tried to rebuke that claim, saying it was not athletic reasons, and it ended up the MHA ended up, and then Clawson ended up going another taking it's sort of like a judge jury pool when you look at what happened, and of course it ended up the MHA decided to do a ruling that made the two Clawson transfers going to Waterford Mott ineligible for their junior season. So, when I look at this rule, a lot of people are going to complain to me about basically how this rule works. And, and this has been something that I've been really on the hotbed for, was pretty much this rule. I thought it finally worked, and it was unfortunate that these two players end up getting caught in the middle of it. And you look at of course a lot of missed opportunity, and of course Tom Markowski is a really good sports writer. I'm not a fan of him, but I don't think he's a fan of me, but the league, I thought, got this one right. And you look at the fact that the issue is here is the kids' school that the kids are leaving are not reporting it to the MHSAA about why these athletes are transferring out. And that's why a lot of them are getting away with it. And also a lot of these parents and kids are using the false pretense that the transfer over there was academically motivating. And and I think when you really look at it, it's like if a coach of a team or an athletic department or an administration doesn't send a report to the MHA, then there's nothing the MHA can do about it. And I know a lot of parents are very upset about this. I mean, and of course, I was looking at Tom Markowski's blog, and there were a lot of parents complaining, that you should let the kids play, you should let them play. Some of the this has been a very tense debate for years. Is, the transfers, players transferring to go to other schools for athletic reasons. And, when I look at it with this, and it really much is something that, there are three reasons why a student will want to transfer out and play somewhere else. And there are three reasons. The first reason is playing time. When you look at playing time, of course, if you're not getting a lot of time, then you're getting frustrated, then, I can understand the point you want to leave. Players and parents want to leave. I mean, if you want to leave, leave. But I would say you would have to change addresses basically to change addresses because if you wanted to go somewhere, then I would advise them to leave. I mean, just that's what I would say. I mean, I'm not being mean here, but if you wanna move, you know what I mean. If you wanna play somewhere else, then I would say if you wanna be, then leave. Then go to a different address. Go to a different address where the school district is at, and basically, and I wouldn't have a problem. I'm not being mean here, so I'm not. But one of the reasons why players want to leave is because of lack of playing time. That's understandable. Another reason is they don't like the system coach at their current school implements. And that's something that bothers me a lot. Is a lot of students I understand it's human nature, it's human emotion that players get frustrated, but and then the third one is, of course, they don't think that they're getting properly looked at, and that's why they want to go somewhere else. And my thoughts have always been this: is when you look at in the wake of this situation with the Clawson players, is if you want to move, if you want to go somewhere and play, I would say you would have to move at least with your family. You know what I mean? Like, let's say if you want to move from like Clawson to Waterford, you can move the Clawson to Waterford, and you can move there. But if your residence is still from Clawson, you want to stay in Clawson and go to Waterford to play, then I have a problem because you're virtually just giving them a disservice basically to the school you originally wanted to leave, just to go play for a school that you're better off with. And to me, that's not right because when I look at certain transfers going over to different schools, I mean, basically I understand it's those three natures, and the third one is probably the most important one when you look at transfers, and of course, when you look at transfers, I mean, they want to play. I understand they want to play. They want to be a good athlete. They want to be a great. They want to get that college look. But and I've said this about colleges. The colleges will go to you. You don't have to go to the college to basically look at your talents, because you just look at recently. Of course, what happened in Oak Park. Of course, Marcon McQuail, I believe is going to be the state's best player. I believe he's the best player in the state of Michigan. He got a scholarship to go play at Kentucky, committed to Kentucky. I like the move. I really do. I mean, McQuail's a very good athlete, good person. But he committed to Kentucky. You know what I mean? It's a good move. That tells me that the college will come to the player, and that, they've seen enough tape. They see enough. They've seen how the athlete's done. I mean, and of course, and basically they offered him a scholarship, and, and McQuail committed. So, that's what I always believe in. The college will always come to the athlete. And that's always something that I always believe in. It's like you don't have to basically go from if you're an athlete that wants that, you if you're an athlete, in my opinion, you can be an athlete that basically control. I mean, like, can be like the face that the face of a program, and you know there's going to be a lot of challenges to being the face of a program. There always is. You're gonna get a lot of attention. You're gonna get a lot of when you're playing your sport. You're gonna get a lot of pressure. If you face a program. But then if you want to go somewhere else, to play, then you're dealing with the transfer rules. Basically, if you want to go play somewhere else, I think you have to change residence. I'm not being mean, and that's what I mentioned earlier. You got to. I think yourself and your family has to change residence because if you want to play right away, you want to make sure everything is in, everything the paperwork's in. You know what I mean? Change residence. You look at a guy like Dylan Alderson, of course, transferred in from Davison. His family ended up moving to Clarkston, so that's why he got to play right away. His family moved into Clarkston to play. I mean, like, so when I look at that transfer, did I like the transfer? He transferred to Clarkston? No, but he did. He did it the right way. He did it the right way. By transferring in district, moving with his family down to Clarkston and based from Davison, and basically, and doing it. I mean, doing it the right way. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem is if a player does leave their host school, and basically, if you're going from like one school to the other school and you don't change residence, then I have a problem. Because you're basically you're saying, like, I'm going to this better school where I can have a chance to win a state championship or get recognized by a great college and all that. And you're saying is that, that the school I'm going to is better than the original school I'm going to. And I'm just saying it from a student's mindset, that, and, that's not right. That really is not right. Now, do I think that rule the transfer rule should apply to teams that are going to players that are going to Catholic schools? I think so, because the reason why I think so is because when you look at that situation, how that's unfolded, a lot of players in middle school are going to go to the Catholic League school. They live like around the entire area. They want to go play at a Catholic League school. Do I think the transfer rule should apply to them? Absolutely. Because, if you're like going from a public school to a Catholic League school, I think that rule should apply to them. Because you look at the situation, how that's unfolded. I mean, it's for a student athlete to play right away, at a Catholic League school, it doesn't make sense. It really just does not. And then you look at, of course, and I know there are a lot of situations that there have been players that played really well on their public school team, transferring over to a Catholic League school team. I think that decision has to be made in middle school. I really do. And if you want to play and I know a lot of Catholic League schools are not going to agree with me here, but I think if you make a middle school decision, to go play at a certain school, then, you can go. I mean, like, then I prefer them to sit out the 180 days. I really do. I would think that if you want to go to a Catholic League school, if you want to transfer from a public league school to a Catholic League school, I know the rule states you have to sit out a semester, but if it was me personally, I give them the 180 because what is the real motivation of the kids going to Catholic league schools? Is it the academic experience? Is it athletic reasons? I mean, I would think if you're one of the top-notch athletes and you're going there because it's a great, I mean, and I understand you got schools like Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Birmingham Marion, Birmingham Brother Rice. They're great academic schools. They're good academic schools. Like, and also Birmingham Detroit Country. They're good academic schools. But you're going there if it's athletically motivated, you know, and I suspect some of these moves that have been going on have been athletically motivated, because you look at some of these players, I mean, like, you know, that they're leaving. It tells me that, you know, it tells me, and I know, and I've been personal to this, and, you know, and I've been personal to this. It tells me that you want to go play sports at a Catholic league school to get the experience, but also to get the top-notch colleges to look at you, because they believe if you're playing for a top-notch coach, then I'm gonna get recognized. I'm gonna get my scholarship offer to go play at a big time school. So it doesn't work that way sometimes. It really doesn't, because, you know, and I've said this before. The colleges are going to look for you. You don't have to go to the college to basically to get your name recognized. They'll know who you are. They'll know. Because, you know, colleges, they see video. You see scouts going out to watch players play. I mean, I see it all the time. I really do. But in the case of the Clausen situation here with Waterford Mott, let's not forget, Waterford Mott was caught last year in having an illegal gathering, which, you know, of course, one thing you cannot do during the off season of football is you can't have mandatory football practices during the summer. You can't do that. You know, and Waterford Mott also got caught for illegal recruiting. They also got caught for that. So, you know, very interesting how now the MHA did not find any evidence of undue influence surrounding these two transfers coming over to Waterford Mott, but the kids are getting punished basically for leaving Clausen to go to Waterford Mott. And my thoughts on that, you know, and I said this earlier, I think it was the right call. And I hope that this ruling, you know, has transfer thinking twice about the possibility of leaving and the consequences. All it takes is one phone call to the MHA from the other school, from the school that they're leaving, saying that, you know, that this kid is leaving because of athletic reasons. All it takes is one phone call. And, I mean, they could, I mean, like, so this is very much a very sticky topic, because now it's going to open up a whole nother animal. And you look at it from that perspective, how that opens up things and everything else opens up things. Now, not taking it like, now I know there's a lot of people on one side of things. There's a lot of people on the other side. But when I look at it from this perspective, for once, the MHA got it right. And the reason why those two guys are not playing is because of the decision to transfer. So we'll keep an eye on this story. Will it impact? Will it impact? Will it impact others from? Will this decision, you know, make other teams, other students and parents rethink their decision to transfer out. We'll see. But my thoughts are perfectly clear. If a student athlete wants to transfer out, I think, I think they and their parents have to change residencies. I think that would make, if they change residencies, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. But if they stay at their normal residency and the student transfers to the other school, then I have a problem with that. All right, now, so we'll see what happens with that going forward. We shall see. Can we come back? We're going to talk more football here on OAA Now.
Hey, it's Owen TV here. Now, have you ever had the urge to create your own TV show? Or just wanted to see what goes behind the scenes of making one? Well, we have just the program for you. Owen TV offers production classes, which allow you to take control and create the programs you want them to be. To get started, all you have to do is sign up for a free orientation, and then register for one of our production courses. For more information, feel free to call us at 248-393-1060, or go to orionontv.org and click register now to sign up for classes. We hope to see you soon.
Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Termina here. Of course, it was a tough topic to talk about, of course, around the Clawson football situation. Of course, also those two Clawson kids that wanted to transfer out from out also played basketball. So instead, they have to sit out 180, which is it's a very interesting, controversial topic, but I think it was the right decision for them. They got to sit out their entire junior year. Now they're going to have to wait until their senior year to play, which it's very unfortunate. But either way, if you wanted to transfer and the other school decided to report it, so it is what it is. So, we'll keep an eye on that situation. Well, let's go to another football situation, how that unfolded. And the Detroit PSL released their divisions and their football alignments and their football, and of course their two top teams, Detroit Cass Tech, Detroit Martin Luther King, are opening up games week 1 at the University of Toledo against two very good opponents. So when I look at this game, and the reason why I think there's another question here that has to come around, and does playing a team out of state, the MHA's got a really strict rule. You can play an opponent that is under 300 miles. And the state of Michigan's a real big state. It's a really big state. And you look at the situation, how that unfolded. And you look at with them. They open up at the University of Toledo against the God, this cough's bothering me today. But they open up against I think it's called Portwood Central, Ohio. I mean, I apologize. Also, I don't have my phone with me, but when you look at that matchup, it tells me there's two things it tells me. One, a lot of people don't like to play Detroit Cass Tech. I mean, how they operate things, how they operate over there. Now, I'm not a fan of how they recruit kids to go from other schools. I think Detroit Cass Tech's the biggest beneficiary of that transfer rule, because have you noticed a lot of Southfield Arts and Tech kids lately have went down there to Detroit Cass Tech. You look at, especially those teams in Wayne County, like Detroit Cass Tech, Belleville. They get a lot of those talent. They get a lot of those kids that go down there, because they believe they can get better recruited there. And I don't think that should be the case at all. I mean, I'm not bashing Thomas Wiltshire or anything. I don't think he's a great advocate for it, but it's looking like a lot of those kids want to play for Coach Thomas Wiltshire. A lot of them do. I understand that. But And also Detroit Martin Luther King is going down to the University of Toledo as well. So when you look at that matchup, you look at how those two teams are playing, and yet the three top teams in the Detroit Public School League, and you look at Detroit Cass Tech, Detroit Martin Luther King, Detroit East English are all in different divisions of the Detroit Public School League. Are you kidding me? That means those three teams are not going to see each other until week 8, week 9. You got to be kidding me. Now, should that be a model of the OAA? Now, when you look at the OAA, when you look at football for the divisions coming up, you have a division where you have, and the divisions the OAA does it is based on enrollment. When you look at, of course, you have the biggest enrolled schools are in the red division, the middle tier in the white, and the low tier in the blue. And I don't think that's a good way to really look at it from a football enrollment standpoint. I really don't. I don't think when you look, I've always believed in, I love the Macomb Area Conference model, personally. Because you got to not only look at it from, I always believe you got to look at it from a league standpoint in which if you're successful, you can move up. If you're not, you move down. I believe personally you shouldn't even consider enrollment because you look at how you look at how everything is set up, and the Macomb Area Conference has this real perfect because you look at, I understand the class size of competition, but when you're a team that's struggling, let's say if you have about 2,600 kids and you're struggling all the time and you're struggling most of the year, most of the time, you need to go down to that division just to compete, But if that team is very good, then you should move up to the top tier divisions. That's what I believe should happen. And you look at how Detroit, and I'm thinking about when I look at the Detroit Public School League divisions is a lot of these smaller schools around the city of Detroit are going to complain because of the fact that you got to play that big tier school who's got a lot of talent, and you're going to get killed 48-0 or 52-0, And the fact of the matter is, where's the competitive balance there? So, I can understand the competitive balance part of it, but if you're a team that's really struggling for the last few years, you need to go down a division just to figure things out. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. I've always believed the OAA should use the Macomb Area Conference model. I've always believed that because I think the Macomb Area Conference model works. Now I can't figure out why Detroit Public School League decided to go and use that the model where you're splitting up your three top teams. I don't like that model because you're virtually saying is that you're going to have your top three teams qualify. And you're going to have at least those 4, 5, 6 teams battling out literally for one spot. Because I think it's a 4-team playoff, how they set up over there in the Detroit Public School League. To me, that's not right. That's not even fair. I mean, when I look at the red this year for football, you have teams like Clarkston, Lake Orion, West Bloomfield, Southfield Arts and Tech, Adams, and Oxford, all in one division. That's one of the toughest divisions in the state. That's one of the toughest. And you're saying to me at least 2 of those teams are not going to make the playoffs? Are you kidding me? I mean, you're saying to me is, I look at a team, and you look at everybody on that list. Even you could consider Bloomfield Hills on that list. But I'm curious to see what Dan Laurier's team's going to have this year with John Paddock. But you look at those teams, and you're saying to me 2 or 3 of those teams are not going to make the playoffs. 2 of those 3 teams are not going to have a winning record. You know, when you look at a team like Oxford, they've been virtually just decimated. You know, basically with their win-loss record. The reason why Bloomfield Hills is up in the red this year is because in the blue, they went undefeated. In the blue division, Bloomfield Hills was not playing. They weren't playing these type of teams that were being inferior to them. You know, when you look at it, they went in October. They beat a good Stony Creek team. Then they went perfect in that month of October, including a shocking win over Lake Orion. And then when they met West Bloomfield in the playoffs, you know, West Bloomfield basically just took them back to earth reality. That's what West Bloomfield did in the playoffs to them. Does it help when you're playing tough competition early on? Yes, it does. You know, you look at Harrison, Oak Park are all in the white division. They're in the white division because, you know, they're still in the white division. When you look at it from a situation with that standpoint, there's going to be people who are going to say, well, Oak Park, the way they've been playing very well for the last 5-6 years. They should be up in the red. You know, and a lot of pundits are saying that. And I don't have a problem with those pundits saying that because, you know, Oak Park's been playing very, very well ever since Greg Carter got there. Oak Park, before Carter got there, really was struggling. Yeah, they had a guy named Edwin Baker on that team, but they were really, really struggling to find an identity. When Carter got there, he created that identity, and Oak Park's been playing very well ever since. You know, Harrison's always been a powerhouse football team. But then you look at the rest of the league. When you look at Troy's been down for the last few years. Rochester's been down for the last few years. Those 2 teams were in the blue last year. And now they're up a division because of enrollment. Do I think enrollment should be considered? No. Because you look at it, you got to look at the program's strengths, the program structure, how that is built. I mean, when you look at the red division, that's going to virtually be the kiss of death division. Virtually is. When you look at those teams. When you look at the blue division, you know, a lot of people are going to say, well, Farmington, you know what I mean? They got this division all locked up and all that. You know, no, they don't. There's a team on Squirrel and Waukegan Street named Avondale I think could give Farmington problems because they run a veer option offense. Ferndale even give them problems. I think Ferndale can be a team that gives problems. Eric Royal's done a really nice job turning that team around. Now, what's helped them is that co-op program they have with Ferndale University. Oh, that has helped them a lot. Now, when you look at that situation, you know, it's really helped them out. But I think Avondale and Ferndale can give Farmington problems. It wouldn't surprise me if one of those 2 teams, or maybe both those teams, beat Farmington. Now, yeah, Farmington's got a new coach in Corey Sikorak. And you look at North Farmington, they got a new coach in a Bob Chisholm. But when you look at it here, I think when you look at football teams that are in worse shape, Farmington's got to fix the defense that was just abysmal a season ago. Now, playing lower competition is going to help them. I understand that, but you still got some good teams in there. You still got some interesting teams in there. Now, a school like Berkeley's in the white division this year. I think Berkeley should be a team in the blue division. I'm not being mean to coach. I'm not being mean to the Bears program. I'm not being mean to Coach Chris Sequoia. Of course, Chris Sequoia is a great man, but they just lost 26 seniors on that team. They lost a ton of talent, and you're asking them to go to the white division? Are you serious? I could just nod my head. Berkeley, it could be a long year for the Bears. It could. I'm not being mean to the Bears, but it could be a really long year for them. And for Berkeley, they just lost a ton of talent from a team that did a lot of damage the last 2 years. Of course, making that regional run. Very impressive for them. Very impressive. 2 seasons ago. But Berkeley and the White, I'm not sure they're going to match up. But if they do well, who knows? But it's going to be a tough road for Berkeley. It's going to really be a tough road for them. And then you look at Farmington. Their defense was abysmal last year. Just abysmal. And then you look at North Farmington. Same problems. I think they're more in worse shape than Farmington. Farmington's got an offense that can score. North Farmington they only scored 32 points last year. They allowed over 300 points. Farmington, same thing. And now you're putting them in a division with Pontiac, who's struggling to get numbers, and Hazel Park, who I think last year was a really major disappointment. And, of course, you got Royal Oak in there. I thought Royal Oak would do some wonders last year. They did not. So, should the OAA look at possibly going to a Detroit Public School League format? No. And the reason why is pretty simple. Because, yeah, you're going to get those teams in the playoffs, but there's going to be a lot of other schools that are going to complain in the league. Should the OAA look at the Macomb Area Conference format? Yeah, I think so. They don't even consider, they'll consider enrollment in some capacity, but at the end of the day, it's based on your program success. And I think the OAA is starting to go a little bit more that route, but it's going to be a very tough sell. And it's been a very tough sell because a lot of the smaller schools want to play each other based on competitive balance. And I understand that. But there's going to be times where that the smaller schools are going to have to play a bigger school. They're going to have to man up. Get ready to go. Get ready to compete. Smaller schools have beaten bigger schools in the past. They have beaten them in the past. Look at a couple years ago. You look at a school like North Farmington. They took on Rochester Adams. They beat them 7-0. That was one of North Farmington's biggest wins of the year. Was when they beat Adams, or a team like Bloomfield Hills, and they beat Lake Orion last year. That was one of Bloomfield Hills' biggest wins of the year. Storm the field and all that. So it can be done. Smaller schools can beat bigger schools. It's just, can these smaller schools man up? Play football. Play. Just go out there and play. Now, other sports like basketball and other sports like that, you can, you have they all play on a level playing field. Enrollment's not even considered. But in a sport like football where enrollment is pretty much considered, I think that enrollment shouldn't be considered, because you look at it, you got to base it on your program structure, your program strengths. And I think it's easier said than done to basically look at it from that perspective. But when you look at the Red this year, when you have at least those powerhouse teams like Clarkston, Lake Orion, West Bloomfield, Southfield, Oxford, might want to put Bloomfield Hills on there, but I'm not really high on them. I'm not being mean to the folks over there at Bloomfield Hills and Dan Lauria. You had one great year. Curious to see how you do in the Red. I think it's going to be a tough road for them. I really do. But either way, I'm curious to see how they do in the Red. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Really, really interesting to see what happens. So, My final thoughts on the PSL model. A lot of people are very excited about Detroit Cast Tech playing teams out of state, week 1. You know, when you look at it, does it really help you in the playoff rankings? Does it really help you? It'll help them playing as a team, but playoff state rankings will help you playing those type of teams. You know, when it comes to state playoff points and all that. Would you rather play a team in state than play a team out of state where it can help both sides? You know? I don't know. I really don't know. But it is what is. You know, it is what is. Do I think the entire state should look at considering playing teams out of state? No. I think there's a lot of good teams in the state of Michigan where you can play. You know? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay, when we come back, we're going to preview the track league meets here on OAA Now.
Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taramina, co-host of Between Taraminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV.
Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Termina here. Just been a little under the weather lately. Of course, in that second subject, of course, I apologize for that. Anyway, we're going to preview the track regionals. The track league meets coming up this upcoming week. Of course, it starts Wednesday. The red meets over at Oxford. Most of the meets will start Friday. Of course, the gold meet, I think, is at Oak Park. The white meet's at Bloomfield Hills, and the blue meet is at Farmington. So we're going to preview each of those when you look at it from a league perspective. Let's go from the gold division. I just don't think anybody's touching Oak Park when you look at those type of teams, because I think Oak Park and Southfield could be a team that could give Oak Park some trouble, but I just don't think anybody's going to touch Oak Park in the how the strength there, especially in the sprinting and distance relays. You know, I think they'll contend, but I just think that at the end of the day, I just don't think anybody in there is going to be Oak Park, of course, especially with how athletic they are, how talented they are. You know, this is a team at Oak Park's a very serious team. I think can make another run at the state championship in both boys and girls. You know, Southfield and the boys could give them a battle. I mean, when you look at it, I think Royal Oak will fight as well. But I just think that at the end of the day, nobody's touching Oak Park. Nobody is, you know, and I think at the end of the day, nobody's touching the Knights. So, and in the girls, I think it's going to be much worse. I think Royal Oak will put up a little bit of a fight, but not real much. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with, at the end of the day, Oak Park. It's going to be all Oak Park and the OA Gold meet, and it's going to not even be close. I mean, I don't think Southfield Arts and Tech will pose a threat in the girls. The other teams, I think Royal Oak will probably pose the best threat in the girls to Oak Park. But end of the day, nobody's touching Oak Park. Nobody in that league is touching Oak Park. So that's the gold meet there, right there. And then we're going to look at the next one. It's going to be the blue meet that's at Farmington. You got Grove, Seaholm, Farmington, Harrison, and North Farmington. When you look at this one, you know, this one's got some interesting, very interesting, because Groves looks like they could be a team to beat. But when you look at from a boys' perspective, it could be really close. I mean, when you look at it, it could be really close. I like Groves a lot, especially what they got. Farmington's very athletic. They're not bad. They're not a bad team. Harrison's got some athletes. North Farmington, they always have some athletes. But when I look at this one here, I got to give an edge. Field events, I got to give an edge to Seaholm. I really like Paul Jokic, the way he's been playing, the way he's been throwing. I do like. I think it's going to be a really close meet, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna take. Farmington's got some athletes that are very athletic. I'm gonna go with the host Farmington team, the boys, because when you look at it, I think that they're gonna be a. Now they're gonna give Grove some problems. I think Groves will contend. I think Seaholm will contend. I think it's gonna be a really close meet between those teams. But I gotta give an advantage to Farmington being at home. I think, despite the fact that Groves beat them early on, I think that I like Groves in the boys part of things. I like Farmington in the boys part of things real close over Groves because how the meets are going to be neutralized and all that. So we'll see what happens there. I really like Farmington to win that one. And the girls' side, I don't think anybody's touching Seaholm because when you look at Seaholm, their strength has always been the long distances. They've always been well coached. Seaholm does a really good job how they handle things over there. They take care of business. Their long distance is very good. Their middle distance is very good. Sprinting's question mark, but I think they have enough. I think it's going to come down to possibly Seaholm and Groves. And, those two teams, I think are going to battle for that league championship. But either way, I like Seaholm to win that one over So we'll see what happens with them going forward in that one. The white meet's taking place at I believe it's going to be at Bloomfield Hills. Of course, you have Troy, Athens, Pontiac, Avondale. Of course, Bloomfield Hills and West Bloomfield in there. So when you look at those teams, this one here could be really interesting because Troy's had an improving year, basically, especially in the girls. West Bloomfield's always good. I mean, West Bloomfield will be tough. Bloomfield Hills this year's had a good year, especially despite the fact they have not had Amanda Sape most of the year. West Bloomfield boys has always been pretty good. Of course, Pontiac, we know they don't. And also, I think Stony Creek's in there. So, Stony Creek is in there. So we got Stony Creek, Troy, Athens, Avondale, Pontiac, Bloomfield Hills, West Bloomfield, which is pretty interesting. Maybe one of those teams is down at Farmington. So, it doesn't help when I don't have my phone here. But, anyway, when you look at it from that perspective, and the boys, I'm going to take, in the boys, I really think, I really like in the boys, I really like, no, in the girls, I really like Bloomfield Hills. When you look at this team, Olivia Lopez really has been a really dynamic player. And the fact that they're playing real well without Amanda Sape has been really much scary. Got to give them a lot of credit. I think Troy will score a ton of points in this league meet. But when you look at it from the end of the day, well, actually, take that back. West Bloomfield is actually, I think West Bloomfield is actually is down with Farmington in the Blues. So if they are, I'm going to take West Bloomfield and the boys over Farmington. And in the girls, I'm still going to go with Seaholm. So, so when you look at it from that perspective, and now you add, if you add Stony Creek to that mix, I think Stony Creek will score some points. They will score some points. So basically, when you look at it from that perspective, I'm going to take in that one. In the girls it's Bloomfield Hills, but in the boys I think it's gonna be a little bit tighter than that people think because when you look at, I think there's a lot of, I think it's evenly matched in that league part of the league meet. I'm gonna go with, it's gonna be tight, but you know what? I'm gonna take Paul Duffy's team. I'm gonna take Stony Creek. I really think Stony Creek in the throws is gonna be very good. Troy's a very interesting team. Troy Athens, very interesting team. Avondale, they're deep. Pontiac, you don't have a lot of numbers. So basically, when you look at it from that situation, how that's unfolded, at the end of the day, I'm gonna take. It's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna take in the girls. I'm gonna take Blue Hills, and the boys. I'm gonna take Stony Creek. So we'll see what happens there going forward. Doesn't help that I don't have my phone with me here because then I'll preview the leagues pretty easily. So I'll post a blog article previewing the league meet for the track meet at Sammy_Termina at blogspot.com here. And then last but not least, we got the OAA Red meet. Of course, that's taking place Wednesday at Oxford. In that one I can officially confirm we have Oxford, Orion, Clarkston, Adams, and Rochester. And when you look at the boys part of things, it's going to be really interesting because I think you got to look at Adams now as one of those teams, and you also got to look at Lake Orion and the boys. When you look at the boys' side of things, it's really going to come down to is how will the loss of Michael Jarvis impact this Dragon team? It really is not so far, but it has impacted them in some ways. Adams is going to be a team I think is going to be a really dangerous matchup, I think, for Lake Orion, because when you look at Adams, it took Lake Orion needing to get the first two places in the 3,200 in that meet, and I think, and of course, Matt Schramm is coming back from an injury. He's their top distance runner. So when you look at that side of things, a lot of people are going to say, well, are you going to give an edge to Lake Orion because, a lot of things are depths. I mean, when you look at, Lake Orion did win the league title this year, but if Adams ends up winning the league meet, then Lake Orion and Adams will have to share the title when you look at it from that situation. So basically, when you look at it here, from a depth perspective, I like Adams in this one because when you look at it, but Lake Orion's going to have a really strong say about this, but Lake Orion could be but I'm curious to see how they do without Michael Jarvis. So far, Coach Danforth's done a really nice job on how things have been adjusted. But when you look at Adams, Adams right now, the way they've got depth in the throws, they got depth in the distance. A big question. If Schramm is healthy enough, I think Adams, it's going to be a tough chore for Lake Orion. I think Lake Orion could take all the relays. I think they will take the relays, but but when it comes down when points are very limited, you know what I mean? Because, Clarkson will get their fair share of points. Rochester will get their fair share of points. Oxford's going to get their fair share of points. So when you look at it from how the meet is scored, it looks like everything right now favors Adams. But Lake Orion can have a very strong say. It wouldn't surprise me if the Dragons win this region. If the Dragons can win this league meet, and I think they're a favorite in the boys side of things, but it's going to come down to can Lake Orion hold off Adams, and Adams is going to be charging quick, so that's going to be a really interesting meet. And Adams had a great meet with Lake Orion. It ended up being really close in what the score indicated, so it's going to be a good meet. I think it's going to be Lake Orion, Adams, and the boys in that perspective. Girls, when you look at it, Lake Orion, I think, has got they're sitting real nice because I think they're the best field event team in all of them, of the 5 teams in the league. Rochester might have a strong say about it, but you look at Lake Orion, they can match you up in sprints and distance. I mean, Clarkson, is going to be the team I think is going to be really interesting to keep an eye on. But Clarkson had 2 league losses that really hurt them. Of course, they lost to Adams and their loss to Lake Orion. So it'll be interesting to see. It wouldn't surprise me if Clarkson does win the league meet. But if they do win the league meet, Lake Orion win the outright league itself because of that win over Clarkston. And also their win over Adams is very, very huge in this one. So when you look at it here, Adams could be a team that could, if they win it, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, Adams does their mid distance is very good, but the sprint's a big question mark. Their field event's a big question mark. I know Adams got a very good thrower in Sidney Mitchell, but when you look at it here, I just think this is real perfect for Coach Dave Hudson to do very well. I said earlier with Adams, I really think that Adams will win the league meet, but if they don't, Lake Orion's in a real nice spot because they went undefeated in the league. Both their boys and girls did. So it wouldn't surprise me. And Lake Orion at least clinched a share of the league title in both boys and girls. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for the Dragons to win the league outright. I'm curious to see how they do in the boys about Michael Jarvis because especially in this type of meet because, I think missing Jarvis is going to really impact this team in this league meet coming up on Wednesday at Oxford. So we'll see what happens going forward with that going forward. So once again, I do apologize to some of them if I do have the league meet matchups messed up at the wrong place. I will post a blog on it and give you my official projections on that on the blog. So make sure for all your track athletes, your track projectors to stay tuned. You know what I mean, to the league projectional previews. Especially because I think I messed up the blue and the white. The gold I'm pretty much it's going to be Oak Park, and then of course the red. When you look at the red. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there going forward. So we'll see what happens going forward. Not a lot of news around the league this week. Of course, we're still keeping an eye on the boys basketball and the girls basketball situation, coaching jobs. We will have an update if we find out anything surrounding the basketball coaches and hires and all that. So, and also it's interesting is the basketball schedule is starting to come out, starting to have an idea where the divisions are going to be at. So we'll see what happens going forward. A lot of teams are starting to post their schedules and all that. So keep an eye on that when it comes to student and Felician. So we'll see what happens going forward. Okay, now everybody, I'm signing off here. Wish everybody best of luck this week. Stay safe and see y'all next week. See you, everybody.
OAA Now is produced at Orion Neighborhood Television, Lake Orion's community media outlet. To learn more about ONTV, visit our website at www.orionontv.org or call us at 248-393-1060.